All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. Hope you guys are ready for another action-packed episode. Hope you guys had a great, amazing Wednesday. Hopefully you guys aren't too somber. It's almost the midway, we're midway through the week. So, we got some TNA Impact and also some Ring of Honor to kind of help us too. Friday, which of course we will have Friday Night SmackDown. So, this week is going by super quick. It seems like time nowadays is just like flying by. It's insane. I don't even have a chance to like catch my breath or anything like that. I feel like my kids are, basically already 18 years old. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not, obviously, I'm not gonna, throw that bad juju out in the air. Don't want the time to go by that quick. Gotta enjoy them when they're young. All right, so guys, we have a great show for you today on tap. We're going to talk about WWE NXT. We're also going to talk about some AEW Dynamite, and of course, today, 19 years ago, we lost an amazing legend in WWE. We lost Eddie Guerrero, so we're going to talk about his legacy inside the ring. We're also going to talk about his what he left for WWE in terms of his legacy. And in our fourth segment, something kind of fun, to kind of cheer us all up. We was reading recently an article. I forgot what was the website, but they basically told artificial intelligence AI to kind of create matches based on the WCW, WWF slash WWE Monday Night Wars. So it came out with a handful of them that I was kind of like, this would be interesting. This would not be interesting. This match outcome seems a little far-fetched, but by all means, we're going to discuss that in our fifth and final segment, something we do every Wednesday. I give you guys my Wednesday's weekly wrestling news, some of the top headlines in the world of professional wrestling. So yeah, we're gonna dive on into that. But before we do any of that, I would just want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up that super chat. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like in terms of professional wrestling, whether you have a burning question or a hot take in terms of the greatest thing in the world of professional wrestling here at the GSMC Sports Network. We are all ears and we are dying to find out what you guys have to share. This show is all about keeping the conversation lively, making sure that your voice is part of the mix. So don't be shy and drop your thoughts inside that chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on air, you have to use that super chat. Hit up that $sign right there by the chat box. Whatever you guys put inside there is going to be guaranteed to be featured about, talked about, maybe even debated about on the show if it's that juicy. Plus, it's a great way to support our channel, to support the GSMC Sports Network. Your support makes obviously is a great way to keep these podcasts going, these podcasters, these passionate podcasters who love sports, just like you and me, who have one goal in mind, just want to make sure you guys consume as much content, free content that you guys love, so much. We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here on the GSMC Sports Network daily. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Let's get this party started. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this podcast is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Once again, it's super chat, not your thing. It's all good. You can hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Just remember to Superman punch that like or subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. But of course, in terms of talking sports, it's inevitable. Criticisms, disagreements, it's going to happen, and it's all good in the neighborhood, baby. Just don't be shy and drop your thoughts inside that chat so we can have a nice little, fun back and forth little banter here. That'd be, with a lot of audience engagement, obviously makes the podcast that much worthwhile. All right, so let's talk about WWE NXT. So the night started off pretty hot. It started off, really a lot of momentum, especially during the women's division. They're just killing it right now. You had two women's matches start out, WWE NXT, and of course you had the main event. And it was great. But the match that started off first, obviously, was Julia teaming up with Stephanie Vaquer, taking on Metaphor, Jakara Jackson, and Lash Legend. And in the match, usually you see a lot of the times, for me, of course, in my opinion, Lash Legend kind of being the odd man out, and kind of being a little bit more successful than her tag team partner. But I got to be honest, in this match, Jakara Jackson really held her own. I definitely liked her confidence inside the ring. She was taking hits. She was taking bumps, man. It was crazy. To be honest, she took she took most of the beating in this match. She looked impressive. It was it was cool. It was nice. It was nice to see her kind of come into the spotlight a little bit. And her tandem offense with the Lash Legend is actually pretty damn good. They were able to kind of keep Stephanie Vaquer and Julia on the ropes in some situations, but of course, at the end of the day, this All Star team, was able to pick up the victory. Julia and Vaquer obviously now on their way to fight in their separate Iron Survivor matches. Coming up in the next couple of weeks of WWE NXT, heading to our deadline December 7th. So, looking forward to that. Looking forward to the more matches with Julia and Vaquer. Also, hopefully, we see more matches with Last Legend and Jakara Jackson. Hopefully, this doesn't really and I don't think it will. I don't think this will ultimately like affect their push or their television time. I feel like these girls have been absolutely sensational. They've been super impressive. Like I want to see Last Legend make it onto the main roster as well as Jakara Jackson. There's been a lot of speculations that Metaphor obviously Noam Dar and oh my god, I can't believe I can't think of his name. Oro Mensah are all four of them are going to be making a debut on the main roster, obviously heading toward this new WWE Monday Night Raw on Netflix era. They're gonna need matches that pop. And having these four superstars would be pretty badass and excited to see it. Iron Survivor match. They explained it. I, for one, I needed a refreshment, so I'm going to refresh you guys. So, in the Iron Survivor match, we're going to have five superstars. Two will start out. One enters every 5 minutes. The match begins when all five competitors are inside the ring. I believe that's the case. I might have heard wrong. All five competitors are, when they're inside the ring, each fall will be a point. Each loss will result to a trip to the penalty box, which you have to stay in there for 90 seconds, where you can't get a fall, where you don't have a chance to rack up your points. So, kind of love the creativity, love the innovative, style in terms of NXT. And a winner is the number one contender for Trick Williams' NXT World Heavyweight Championship. And yeah, should be pretty damn cool. Next, we have Cora Jade in singles competition in the Iron Survivor Eliminator match. We have her against Ruca, and it was a good match. I definitely, the women's division in NXT is on fire. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It seems like Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and just WWE as a whole is doing really, really well in terms of NXT. But Cora Jade was impressive. She was great. She had control most of the match. She was, she was very manipulative. She was very dominant. She was like, in your face. She was pandering to the crowd, kind of being that heel, kind of, shoving Soruka's face, making her like, making her seem like she was like the ultimate like bully or like heel, you know what I mean? So, but after the match, Soruka's patience paid off, just lying there and waiting for Cora Jade to make a mistake, and she did. Hit her with the Soul Snatcher, and then bam, that's it. She was able to pick up the victory. So Ruca moves on. Next, we have Wes Lee taking on Cedric Alexander in an Iron Survivor Eliminator match. I gotta be honest, this match was one of my favorites. This match, I had speculations that this would be probably a sleeper for the match of the night. And obviously not taking away from anything or any other matches that took place tonight, but the chemistry between these two superstars is just uncanny, and I loved it. I loved it. To be honest, I hated how it ended. When you have an amazing match like this, it even got a "This is awesome" chant, which was pretty badass. When you get positive, positive reinforcement from the fans, in terms of a match, sometimes, you just want to see the match end cleanly. It didn't. Wes Lee obviously kind of had to go into his heel roots and expose the middle turnbuckle, causing Cedric Alexander to, hit him with the Michinoku driver. Referee was distracted, got that 1, 2 near fall. If the referee would have started counting the moment he hit that Michinoku driver, we would have had saw Cedric Alexander move on instead of Wes Lee. But then, you saw the cheating ways win, and it was just a bad ending. Obviously, that's the purpose of a heel. So in that case, wrestling or NXT, you're doing it right, I guess. Maybe I'm just picky. I thought this match, between these two superstars, that was just amazing. I thought it deserved an actual like ending and stuff like that. Obviously, Wes Lee is, going full heel right now. So, he was able to pick up the victory and he moves on. Then we see a promo with Shawn Spears and the Dawn of NXT, Tony D'Angelo. He wants Brooks Jensen to challenge D'Angelo for the NXT North American Championship. Obviously, Shawn Spears has something up his sleeve. It's shown him leaving in Suburban. With the I gotta be honest, I do like the cinematic angles here that WWE is trying to do. Like I get it. I think it's cool. It might be a little bit too much sometimes, but no, I think they actually did it pretty decent. You kind of got this, Tony D'Angelo being the mob boss, and then, Shawn Spears coming at you full force, saying that, I'm desperate, I'm hungry, I'm starving. So, maybe it's just, going to set up a nice little feud between those two. Trick Williams addresses Ridge Holland. That was kind of cut short because Andre Chase still wants a piece of Ridge Holland. Then, of course, you saw Ridge come out, put Andre Chase on blast, saying that he does not deserve a chance at the NXT World Heavyweight Championship. And then this, of course, starts sparking up ideas about, hey, why don't they fight? And the winner gets to fight Trick Williams at NXT Deadline in December. But, obviously they had to make it a little bit more juicy. If Andre Chase loses, Chase U has to, they have to disband. It seems like Chase U wasn't really for it. Thea Hale, Riley Osborne, also Duke Hudson, the MVP. They were just like, dude, like, is it worth it? Is the juice really worth the squeeze here? You've never had a chance at the NXT World Heavyweight Championship. It could be the ultimate rise of Chase U, or it could be the ultimate fall. So, and the fans love Chase U. They buy the merchandise. They're out there doing the Chase U signs with their hands and stuff like that. So, they get positive reinforcement from the fans. They are very marketable. That's why maybe I think this doesn't really go down the way Rich Holland maybe expects it. Rich Holland picked up a victory. He found a way to pin Trick Williams in that match with Ethan Page and Bubba Ray Dudley at NXT for like at the ECW 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. So maybe he kind of has that leverage. Maybe in the future in storylines, Andre Chase is he's a man on a mission. He's a man on a mission, wants to prove that he could still be, a face of WWE, still wants to show that Chase U could run WWE. But right now it just seems a little dire. I got to be honest. I feel like something is going to happen. Maybe it forces like a triple threat match between these guys. Maybe Duke Hudson or Thea Hale or Riley Osborne find a way to kind of, to help out Andre Chase, or, maybe get him to have it disqualified or just something like that. You know what I mean? Maybe like, there's a point when all is lost and Ridge Holland is about to pin Andre Chase, and then you see Duke Hudson pull him outside the ring and, kind of be like that hero, and then he gets counted out and then Ridge Holland wins, you know what I mean? And then of course then there's that backstage drama, that inner turmoil that would be created with Chase U, but then at the end of the day it'd be like, Duke Hudson's like, come on, Andre, dude, we couldn't let you lose out there, just because, you basically were dead to right. But, us together are, we're stronger and we can pick each other back up. So, and which I think at the end of the day, Andre Chase would be like, you know what, you're right. Thank you for pulling me out of there. I was, kind of off my walker there. So, next we have Nikita Lyons defeating Adriana Rizzo. Adriana Rizzo lost the match, but of course she got the last laugh, attacking Nikita Lyons in the back of the head with a crowbar. Yeah, nice little ECW right there. Javon Evans, that boy Bouncy, defeats Lexus King. Always impressive. Javon Evans is super impressive. Lexus King he was impressive as well. I really like how it seems like he's really embracing this babyface role. I like him in it more than a heel. If he was a heel, I guarantee you, I give him like maybe 3 to 6 months. His contract probably would not be extended, and he'd just wind up maybe going back to AEW or Ring of Honor or something like that. But this is good for his character. This is good for his character. The fans seem to be rooting for him, accepting him. In the match, he did kind of remind me of like a younger like version of Chris Jericho, Y2J. So I'm like, okay, like if he finds his way somehow, back in the heel category, maybe he can be that type of person because, Chris Jericho is notoriously known for being an amazing heel, but at the same time, he could be a great babyface and always kind of back and forth, having these face turns, the fans don't really know what to expect. And, they love him when they love him and they hate him when they hate him. So maybe Lexus King could kind of fall back into that, category. But Butch Vaughn Evans wins. He moves on. Handshake at the end of the match is always cool. Kelani Jordon loses her rematch against Fallon Henley for the WWE Women's NXT North American Championship. And I got to be honest, it all started with bad luck. She wore her own T-shirt to the ring, which, I feel like that's a little narcissistic. I'm just kidding, no. But from the get-go, I was kind of like, oh shoot, she's done for. She's gonna lose. You know what I mean? The numbers game is no joke. The fatal influence is probably here to stay. The belt's gonna stay on Fallon Henley for quite some time if they keep working like this. And kind of reminds me of like kind of like a Judgment Day. You saw Finn Balor put Gunther's leg on the bottom rope, screwing over Damian Priest. So you saw that kind of, Henley, at the end of the match, well, at the end where she had her title, she did the Alexa Bliss, title thing where she put it behind her. How did she do it? Yeah, like that. I thought that was kind of interesting. And then, of course, at the end of the night, you had the tag team division abrupt because of what Ava, the general manager of NXT, basically said, you guys got to step it up. Whoever outshines the other one will get a shot at Nathan Frazier and Axiom's NXT World Tag Team title. So it all ended up in Bedlam, which is always a good sign. All right, guys. So hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to talk about some AEW Dynamite. We just got done fresh talking about NXT. Now we're going to shift gears and go to AEW. So hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting. Give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage curtain calls, rumors, and drama. We talk about superstar inactive statuses, injury updates. We talk about contract. We always talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We also talk about promotions from WWE to AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling. If it makes major news, headlines in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure you guys, catch the episode on the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE NXT review, and now we're going to talk about some AEW Dynamite. But of course, before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up the tips and donations link, or hit up that super chat, whether you got a burning question or a hot take in terms of the world of professional wrestling here at the GSMC Sports Network. We are all ears. If you got something you've been dying to get off your chest, don't be shy and just drop it inside that chat box right there. Make your voice be heard. And if you really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on air, why not use that super chat? So, just go ahead and hit that $sign next to that chat box right there. And anything you guys put in there is going to be guaranteed to be featured on the show. Plus, it's an amazing way to keep our sports network going. support our channel. The super chats obviously helps us keep the lights on all these amazing podcasts and these amazing podcasters who have one goal in mind is to make sure you guys are fully consumed with the sports content that you guys love so dang much. We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily on the GSMC Sports Network. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep this party going. And when we make sure this show is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Of course, if super chat not your thing, it's all good. Go ahead and hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Just remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. But of course, in terms of talking sports, it's inevitable. Disagreements are going to happen, criticisms are going to arise, and it's all good. It's all gravy, baby. It's all good in the neighborhood. It doesn't matter. Don't be shy. Drop your thoughts, however you feel like. Inside that chat, we can have some then we can have some real fun, man. Let's do it. All right, AEW Dynamite. So it's Wednesday. You know what that means. AEW Dynamite is live at the Total Mortgage Arena in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Obviously, still building up toward AEW Full Gear happening in about a week and a half, November 23rd. And the show is going to start off. Well, I'm not sure if it's going to start off, but today we have Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, will take on Penelope Ford. It's been 6 weeks since we've seen the doc in action. Obviously the little mishap with, the injury where, she was going to be in that number one contenders match to fight Mariah May for the AEW World Women's Championship. Obviously, that did not come in fruition. And then you saw Willow Nightingale kind of took her place. But Britt is back, and I think it's going to be a build-up toward a feud against Mariah May. Hopefully, it could be, setting something up for, I think she has a Full Gear opponent. I think she does. So I might be tripping here, but going to be, building up some momentum toward their feud in the future, and it's going to be great. Obviously AEW, sorry, excuse me, wanted to have these girls go at it last month, but didn't really happen. Due to things that obviously, when injuries happen in professional wrestling, it does so much detrimental things to the storyline. It alters it. It, causes a little bit of, like a shiftiness, maybe it being altered to the point where maybe it doesn't look that great. Or sometimes it's just thrown out the dang window. And, some superstars have actually, injuries, they happen and bam, it's over. Look at what happened with Finn Balor, the first ever WWE Universal Champion, and then he, hurts his shoulder in his match against Seth Rollins at that SummerSlam, and then bam, Finn Balor has never really made it up to the top ever since that kind of happened. Look at what happened with Tegan Nox, who got recently released by WWE. She's had, she was very known for having, injuries with her knees and stuff like that. And, it's just, the injury bug, but sometimes bites people way too often and, forcing their career to kind of be on a standstill hold or ultimately kind of, kind of tarnish. And, it's sad, but, that's sports. That's sports. That's baseball, basketball, football. Like, look at, Zion Williamson for the New Orleans Pelicans. That guy could never stay healthy. Kawhi Leonard for the LA Clippers. Well, what's up with that guy who makes money just sitting on the bench? Man, that's a pretty good job right there. Like, you know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, like, professional athlete, gotta pay respects. Obviously, I got a bone to pick with Kawhi Leonard because he used to be on the San Antonio Spurs, and if he would have stayed with Greg Popovich and the Spurs, I feel like his career would have been a little bit different. I feel like Greg Popovich ultimately kind of knew his physical capabilities, and Kawhi Leonard, he wanted to be all he can be and be a star player and play 35 to 40 minutes. Greg Popovich's starters during the Tim Duncan era only averaged about 25 to 28, which is good. A little bit of load management before the load management thing actually started in the NBA. The father of it definitely would have been is Greg Popovich. So, but moving on, professional wrestling. Talk about NBA another time. So we have the Bang Bang Gang taking on Hangman Adam Page and Christian Cage, the Patriarch. The phrase obviously that comes into the mind thinking about this match is the enemy of my enemy is my dear friend. Adam Page and Switchblade Jay White, they're gonna have a great match at Full Gear. definitely. They're going to be, it's going to be one of the greatest matches. Obviously, Hangman Adam Page has not been successful against Switchblade Jay White in the past, but I feel like this will all be different. I feel like Page is, he's heading toward another push. Definitely see. Maybe, I don't want to say in the AEW World Heavyweight Championship right now because there's so many, different possibilities. Like you have, MJF still doing his thing. Will Ospreay is not the international champion anymore, so that can allow him to kind of challenge for the title. You have Christian Cage with his contract. You have John Moxley's champion. You also have Bobby Lash. Yeah, you have a lot of people that could definitely challenge for this title, and Hangman Adam Page could definitely be one. Kenny Omega's return is right around the corner, so a lot of possibility tonight. Should be interesting. I, for one, am rooting for the Bang Bang Gang to do this. I got two words for you: guns up. So let's do it. We have a Full Gear Contender Series match. FTR taking on House of Black. I want to see FTR back into the tag team title picture now that Matthew and Nicholas Jackson don't have a strong hold over the AEW World Tag Team titles. It's going to make things a lot more interesting on Dynamite, Collision, and Rampage. So I think it's kind of like a blessing in disguise. And it's been rumored. I've read reports, but then again, I don't want to be the one like, oh, I'm breaking news and stuff like that. And you find out that I'm full of crap. So I don't want, that. I don't want that burden. Don't you put that burden on me. I'm just kidding. No, but Matthew Nicholas Jackson has been rumored to not, to be out until the start of next year. So I don't, this whole elite storyline seems like it's, it was dead in the water about 2 or 3 months ago, and now it seems like it's completely dead in the water. So it's, it's crazy, but like I said, that's wrestling. Obviously the Outrunners and Private Party have already moved on. Obviously, Private Party is champions in the Outrunners. After defeating Top Flight, is FTR going to join? Going to fill one of those last two spots, or is House of Black, Malakai Black, and Brody King going to be the ones to do it? Swerve Strickland's going to take on Leo Rush. Leo Rush coming off of a fresh win, defeating Mustafa Ali at New Japan Professional Wrestling's Fighting Spirit Unleashed. So, he could be, perhaps, maybe, Leo Rush is trying to prove his worth to MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin to be part of the Hurt Syndicate. But you're definitely going to see some Bobby Lashley action. You're going to see some interference. These guys are probably going to end the night, getting hands on each other, beating the hell out of each other, obviously building up toward the first match with Bobby Lashley kind of being like, like the first ever match that's wrestler has at AEW after debuting AEW is against former AEW World Heavyweight Champion Swerve Strickland. I feel like that's big. Usually that's not really, heard of. I would think Bobby Lashley would at least get like a warm-up match or something like that, or at least like a smash match, or maybe he hasn't. Maybe I'm tripping, I, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't. I got to double check that. Got to fact check that. Don't quote me on that. Uh, Next we have Bobby Lashley's going to speak. He's going to talk some trash, man. We're going to see MVP go out there doing, he's going to do what he does best. And then, obviously you're going to have Shelton Benjamin standing there as his like right-hand man. And Bobby Lashley is going to get ready to reign supreme all over All Elite Wrestling and this new Hurt Syndicate. These guys they're going to be successful, and it's going to be, I feel like it's for the betterment of AEW. The moment Bobby Lashley, Ricochet, I feel like AEW is, maybe one or two more, big stars away from actually being like, people can be, drawing in new fans. Like, obviously, the wrestling wars between All Elite Wrestling and WWE, I feel like is kind of nonsense to kind of speak about because of this new digital era in terms of, streaming services where, you don't necessarily have to be on, cable to like, back in the day with WCW and WWE. WWE was on the USA Network, and then you had WCW on Turner Television. So you had that power. You had the power of the remote. You only had one choice, one streaming service, and now there's a handful, man. there is a handful. So, I don't really like to throw that, war word around. So I don't know. Should be interesting to find out what Bobby Lashley has to say. We'll hear from Jamie Hayter as well, and Will Ospreay elevated right there. Lance Archer is going to take on Roderick Strong in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Obviously, Roderick Strong and Adam Cole want to, stack the odds against MJF in that match in that Full Gear match. Konosuke Takeshita, the AEW International Champion, will take on Adam Cole tonight as well. Jon Moxley seizes control of Superstation TBS. Should be interesting. It's been confirmed that Tony Khan has not yet, fully agreed to it, but Jon Moxley kind of holds a blank check here in AEW where he can kind of do whatever he wants, where he, kind of has his own creative control, which is, and, in the past, in terms of professional wrestling, that's always kind of come back and kind of bite you in the ass. But I feel like in this kind of segment, the sentiments that Jon Moxley and the promos that he's cutting, I think AEW is in good hands with him doing it. So, hopefully Jon Moxley steers them in the right direction. All right, guys. So, hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to talk about our third segment. We got the legacy of Eddie Guerrero, obviously, 19 years ago today. On this date, we lost one of the greatest Mexican cultured wrestlers in the world of professional wrestling, and probably that will ever grace our presence in the wrestling industry. So we're going to talk about his legacy when we come back. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. We're here to talk about the greatest thing in the world of professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside the ring, backstage curtain calls, new rumors, and some awesome, juicy drama. We talk about, superstar and active statuses, injury updates, contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about promotions from AEW to WWE, Ring of Honor to TNA. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show, 1,010%. So do not miss, don't miss a single frame, guys. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. All right, so we recently talked about some WWE NXT in our first segment. We talked about AEW Dynamite in our second. And our third, we're going to honor the legacy of Eddie Guerrero, who tragically passed away 19 years ago today. But before we get into that, obviously, guys, give, some super chats. Obviously, want to definitely know how you guys feel about this next segment and, the impact that, Eddie Guerrero has, kind of forever had in terms of professional wrestling. Definitely want to hear how you guys, definitely, viewed Eddie's, his everything in terms of, him being on WWE, WCW, ECW, the CMLL. So yeah, don't be too shy to kind of join the fray. All right, Eddie Guerrero passed away 19 years ago today, November 13th, 2005. He was found unresponsive in his hotel room due to heart failure, which obviously was, attributed to, his past substance abuse struggles and addiction, with pills. Speculations on, steroids obviously was, back then. It was a real concern. Steroids back in the day in terms of professional wrestling. Nowadays, I don't really see like I don't know. I don't really see it. Obviously, I could be wrong. Sometimes, they have more of a stricter like policy in terms of, performance enhancing drugs inside the World Wrestling Entertainment. So I feel like right now, I don't want to, I don't want to, jinx or anything like that. But maybe this, era of steroid use in professional wrestling has been put to bed, which is great, which is good because a lot of people were dying young. A lot of people have died young. It's just it's very hard. It's very hard to make it in this cutthroat industry that was professional wrestling, especially during the Vince McMahon era, where people were literally fighting injured. These guys were literally, hey, if you look bigger, badder, and stronger than the other guy, guess what? You're going to get paid more money. You're going to get more television time. And at the time you're a wrestler, and you're like, damn, if I get injured or if I'm not on television time, I think about my family. I have a family. I have a wife and kid, man. Guess what? If I'm doing harm to my body, it's all good because I'm paying the bills, putting bread on the table, and feeding my family. So a lot of stars kind of threw caution to the wind and basically said, "F it." You know what I mean? Like, let's, whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna become all I can be, but I guess, I feel like nowadays steroids has definitely been a declining substance in all of professional wrestling. So definitely, happy to kind of report on that. So, obviously you've seen a lot of young deaths, and it's just tragic. It sucks. His death was an absolute bombshell. Came as a complete shock from his magnetic charisma to his ability to have the fans hang on to every single word he was saying as a heel, as a babyface. The fans related to this guy. They loved themselves some Eddie Guerrero. They were they were his biggest fan when he was a babyface. They were his biggest fan when he was being a jerk, when he was being a heel. He was just all around just the perfect professional wrestler. And definitely if he didn't pass away, I feel like he would still be doing things in WWE right now. Also helping a lot of, Latino wrestlers kind of make it onto the WWE brand. Guerrero's impact in WWE and his legacy is obviously still shown today. You see Dominic Mysterio paying tribute to him with his hair and the frog splash, and obviously Mercedes Moné, that was her idol, Eddie Guerrero. And you see people like using the frog splash, obviously still paying respects to Eddie Guerrero. Rey Mysterio, obviously another name that, he still reps the Eddie Guerrero band sometimes. And, they should, you know what I mean? Eddie Guerrero tragically passed away, and he had so much left to fight inside the ring. He was young. I think he was 38, I believe he was. And, he had so much left, and it's just, I don't know, like I said, it's tragic. Kind of crazy. It kind of sucks, and I wish it would have never happened, but it is what it is. Obviously, thoughts and prayers and condolences to his family, who, he's such a remarkable man that, still to this day, I'd be like, damn, like, what I mean? We lost a good one here. Eddie's story reminds people that you can absolutely do anything with powerful determination, perseverance, and passion. So that is definitely one thing that Eddie Guerrero had, in on screen or behind the curtain was passion, enthusiasm, was to get people, not just the audience members of WWE, had personnel. Every wrestler loved Eddie Guerrero, like, everybody. It was, he was literally one of the most liked guys in the back. And once when, you can tell, like when Eddie Guerrero had that tribute, everybody was just a wreck. Everybody was crying. It was crazy. I remember watching that episode. I remember hearing when I got home from school. I remember, I think it was my sister who had. I think it was like it was online. It was online when we had a computer, and she was like, Eddie Guerrero died. And I remember getting home, and I was like, what? Like that doesn't make sense. That's not true. I was in eighth grade. No, I think I was in seventh grade. I think I was in seventh grade. Kind of like kind of like the tippity point at once when I was like fully engaging into WWE things. I was into the Attitude Era, and I was, kind of touched on the Ruthless Aggression Era, a little bit, but then I took a little break, and then I eventually came back to it during like the late 2000s. And I don't know, it was a shocker. It was a shocker because Eddie, when you look at these WWE wrestlers, they look fit. I'm like, dude, he's healthy. How the hell does a guy like this have a heart attack? And obviously now, as a growing up and stuff like that, but as a kid, I was devastated. I cried, man. I gotta be honest. I shed a tear. He was one of my favorite wrestlers, and when you kind of, when you grow up and you kind of have wrestling in your household and it kind of becomes a natural everyday thing to watch Monday Night Raw, to watch SmackDown, and the pay-per-views together as a family. It's kind of like you lost a family member. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't just a wrestler you would see on TV. A lot of the times he was a source of inspiration for a lot of people watching television, and I'm not just speaking in terms of myself. A lot of wrestling fans obviously loved watching Eddie Guerrero. A lot of upcoming wrestlers in the independent wrestling circuit loved watching this guy because he literally, his story was so powerful because he made it through the independent circuits. He made it through through an edgy ECW. He made it through a WCW brand that was falling, and then he made it starting in WWF/WWE. He got injured from the get-go, breaking his arm, and from through with the Radicals. And I know, it's just it's crazy. It's crazy. He was released in WWE in 2001 after being arrested for driving under the influence. He overcame his addiction, obviously a huge wake-up call, and became the WWE champion after defeating Brock Lesnar at the No Way Out PLE in 2004. He inspired, he inspired anybody from any demographic, to pursue your dream. Also, like I said, like within, independent fighting circuit as well. People who wanted to go to WWE, he kind of, was like a beacon of hope. He joined WWE in 2000, leaving WCW, which was probably was a great choice. He was alongside his close friends Chris Benoit, Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko. They were the Radicals. I remember they were brought on by Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, to kind of help him go up against the McMahon Helmsley era here. With D-Generation X and stuff like that. He was he was kind of like a mischievous character portrayed, the lie, cheat, and steal, and Viva la Raza. Eddie Guerrero began his career in the Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre, obviously CMLL, which is a lot easier for me to say because I can't roll my damn R's. Like, damn it. Also, he was in ECW, WCW in the in the early 1990s. He was great. He was great. He was born on October 9th, 1967 in El Paso, Texas. His father was a wrestling legend, Gory Guerrero. His like I said before, the best thing about Eddie Guerrero was kind of like the storylines, kind of like poetry in motion, kind of like art. That's what professional wrestling is. Sometimes you go to like a play, you go to a concert, or you go to like a ballet, or you go to like a like a dance thing or whatever, and you sometimes you kind of don't. From an outside perspective, you can't really think outside the box because you're like, okay, what am I really watching? Or sometimes you go to like an orchestra. I remember the first time I went to an orchestra, I was like, I got tickets. I want tickets on the radio, and I was like, man, it's gonna suck, dude. I don't want to see some guy blowing on a trumpet for freaking 3 hours. I'm out. I don't want it. I don't want to do it. And then, and then I went, and man, it was beautiful. It was nice. And when somebody really perfects an art form, and it could be about anything, it can even happen in sports. Like if you see, like like when you watch Michael Jordan play, or LeBron James, or Magic Johnson, or Hakeem Olajuwon, whoever you want to, or when you see Tom Brady take a snap as the court. I'm just kidding. A lot of people hate Tom Brady because he stole so many Super Bowls from people, but he didn't steal my Super Bowls. I'm a New York Giants fan, so we beat that guy twice. But anyways, sometimes if someone's really just good at what they do, people just fall in love with him. The art form, when he was inside the ring, he told a story. He told a story. He helped fans through rough times. Sometimes when you're going through some stuff, you turn on something to distract you, and then bam, there was professional wrestling. From his failures to overcoming those failures, story of redemption, and a shot at everlasting wrestling icon royalty. That's basically what Eddie Guerrero's legacy was in in the world of professional wrestling. All right, so moving on, we're going to talk about our fourth segment. We have artificial intelligence determines a WCW/WWE dream match outcomes. It was a little wonky. I remember reading about. I read an article, and we're going to talk about it when we come back. So do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage curtain calls, rumors and dramas. We talk about superstar inactive statuses, injury updates, contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about promotions from AEW to WWE, the CMLL, to New Japan Professional Wrestling. If it makes major news headlines in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show. So remember to tune in, like and subscribe to the show, follow the network. All right, so kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE NXT review, and then we had our AEW Dynamite talk. We previewed Dynamite as well as talked about some future outcomes and storylines that are going to be generated tonight on Dynamite. And then in our third segment, we talked about Eddie Guerrero's legacy, obviously, tragically, 19 years ago today. The wrestling icon, the legend, passed away. And now we're going to talk about AI, artificial intelligence determines WWE, WCW dream match outcomes. And, to be honest, this is the reason why, if you're an employer, if you're like, oh, AI is going to run the world and, make awesome decisions, it's not the best at doing that. Well, at least in the world of professional wrestling. Obviously, you know, if my man, Elon Musk is watching tonight, I'm just kidding. No, moving on. From an article from the Sportster, which I found very riveting. I definitely, recommend you guys to check it out. Artificial intelligence. They plugged in, what would WCW versus WWE dream matches and the outcomes during the Monday Night War, and artificial intelligence. The creator was like, I'm just kidding. It was, it was, they were rivals in the 1990s. Obviously a huge screw up through this whole invasion angle that WWF and WWE, basically did to these poor WCW superstars who were very, WCW got bought out by Vince McMahon. And they kind of thought this was going to be an opportunity to kind of go above and beyond. But a lot of faces like Sting, Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Eric Bischoff kind of look at it as like, Vince is going to rip us apart. Vince is going to make us seem like we're the crappiest wrestlers, make us seem like we don't know what we're doing. And that's exactly what happened. And kudos to Booker T, who actually stuck through all the BS and was able to become a the world's heavyweight champion and also King of the Ring. So kudos to Booker T there. All right, so first we have Kurt Angle will defeat in a dream match. Will defeat Bret Hart. I I like Kurt Angle. I do not, you know, I don't like. I don't think it could beat Bret Hart though. In both of their primes, going at it in the squared circle, I Bret Hart was so damn good. He was the excellent of execution. He was the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. If Bret Hart never would have got, kicked in the head by Goldberg, um, he would have, he would have been a legend. He would have, he still is a legend in WWF. And if Vince McMahon didn't, kind of two-face him on that 20-year contract and forced him and did the Montreal screw job and forced him to leave WWF, he probably would have been like Triple H status or even better. in terms of, how many world title runs they have, their impact on WWE. Maybe he comes and he has this evolution faction, maybe Randy Orton goes with them. Just kidding, no. But, Bret Hart was relatively around the same age as Shawn and, maybe a little bit older than, Triple H, Paul Levesque. But he could have been so much damn better. He had so much potential. He had so much potential. And kind of like the way that I like ultimately kind of describing it as for a lot of people who don't watch wrestling, and if you're a football fan, just imagine if because once when Bret Hart moved to WCW, he knew that he was going to be working around a lot, a lot more inexperienced wrestling personnel. That he was going to be working with guys like Goldberg, who was just thrown on the screen because he looked big and bad and had 26 seconds to he was like the king of WWE speed. He would have been the WWE speed champion. His matches were no more than like 3 minutes or like 2 minutes. Like it was crazy. But just like imagine like Patrick Mahomes, and on the practice squad, somebody pops him and then bam, like he was on the Super Bowl run. He already has three. He could have beat Tom Brady, be probably the best in the NFL in terms of the greatest quarterback to ever like lace up his cleats. But obviously that was taken away from him, and that's kind of how it was with Bret Hart. And it just kind of sucks. But I do not agree that Kurt Angle would beat him because Kurt Angle in his prime, although he was he was dynamic inside the ring. Bret Hart just had he just checked all those other boxes. You know, Kurt Angle had freakishly, powerful strength. He was good at submission. So was Bret. Bret was a little, both of them were great tacticians inside the ring in terms of wrestling styles. So I see that tied right there. Bret Hart was more of a high flyer. So, we're both tied right there, 3 points apiece. And at the end, you definitely have to have that it factor. Like, and, Kurt Angle, yeah, he had an it factor. That's true. But Bret Hart was the face of WWE once when WWE went kind of south after the whole steroid scandals and the way they were treating women backstage. And Bret Hart was like this consistent, efficient family man that he would do interviews with his kids on his lap, and it was just he was a humble guy. So a lot, that's the kind of picture that they wanted people. That they wanted WWE fans to follow, not like your average ordinary like Hulk Hogan. The Undertaker defeats Sting. I do love the icon Sting, but in this kind of case, I agree. I agree with this one. Sting was a great wrestler, and the Undertaker, he was a great wrestler. He did kind of, he, when he was put in big spots, when in big matches, he wasn't really that guy to win the championship. I would say it would be a close match, definitely a close match for sure. But I think the Undertaker would come out the victor against Sting here. Eddie Guerrero defeats Owen Hart. That's a coin toss right there. Coin flip game right there. Can't really put the nail on the head in terms of that. Eddie Guerrero was great at what he did. So was Owen Hart. So him defeating Owen Hart. Maybe in terms of like different styles of wrestling, but that's because Eddie Guerrero. Well, Owen Hart did pay his dues as well outside of the WWF. But Eddie Guerrero, like he was, part of the independent wrestling circuit, did some CMLL, ECW, WCW, then to the WWF. Probably based on more outside experience, I would definitely agree that Eddie Guerrero would defeat Owen Hart. And that'd be like the slightest. That would be the slightest marginal right there. The Rock defeats Diamond Dallas Page. That one obviously is, no brainer. The Rock he was very special. He was a very special superstar kind of during the Attitude Era. Not trying to take away anything from Diamond Dallas Page because how he was in WCW when he was the World Heavyweight Champion. Also, just all around, I felt like DDP was great at what he does. Obviously, that's the reason why he does do some stuff with WWE with past wrestlers, future wrestlers, and athletes and stuff like that. I think he's doing that yoga thing. I think it is where he's helping people like lose weight and get healthier, and it's actually working. So kudos to him. That's badass. Mankind Mick Foley defeats Cactus Jack. Um, I'm assuming that they did Cactus Jack because of ECW and WCW. I'm not too sure, but I don't agree. I feel like Cactus Jack would beat the heck out of Mankind, but that's my opinion. Goldberg defeats Shawn Michaels. Oh my God, no way this would ever happen. No way this would ever happen. Shawn Michaels was the best wrestler inside the ring. He chucks all four boxes. He agile, speed. He was strong. He was definitely a tactician inside the ring. He knew how to, get in his opponents' faces and cause them to make mistakes based on their hatred toward the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is the best wrestler who ever wrestled, guys. I'm sorry. And maybe it's a little bit of biases because I love Shawn Michaels and that guy's like my man. But like, come on, the way Shawn Michaels took the WWF by storm, and especially during the WWE slash WWF WCW Monday Night Wars. If Shawn Michaels was never as great and as good as he was, barely holding WWF by the hair, literally. Like if there was no Shawn Michaels, there probably would be no WWE. And I know that might seem a little bit too, a couple people might seem a little bit too far-fetched, but that's how important Shawn was. That's how important Shawn was. He was literally that, the bridge from from 80s wrestling, and then Brett left. And then you needed that one guy, and then all of a sudden Shawn gets injured, and then the Attitude Era is born, and then Shawn comes back. And then you have the ruthless aggression where Shawn Michaels was, he was still wrestling. So you definitely gotta, throw some respect on Shawn Michaels' name. I definitely don't think the WWE would be anywhere near where they're at without the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. As opposed, now with Goldberg defeating him, that's not true. That's BS. Shawn Michaels would super kick Goldberg's, he super kick his face off, man. That's what he would do. He would hit the flying elbow, hit that sweet chin music, and then 1, 2, 3. You think I'm cute? No, I'm sick. He would have destroyed Goldberg. I'm surprised that they, see, that's why, maybe artificial intelligence isn't that intelligent after all. If they think somebody like Goldberg could defeat Shawn Michaels, unless it was like a, well, no, no, I'm just kidding. No, that would never happen. All right, next we have the NWO defeats D-Generation X in a War Games match. Um, maybe, possibly, but the NWO, maybe the artificial intelligence bot, maybe they gave too much credit to Hollywood Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall, which by all means they were great. Their big three and the D-Generation X big three, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and that's pretty much it. So I guess in a way they would win because, but what's after that besides Triple H and Shawn? There was Road Dogg, there was Billy Gunn, there was X Pac, there was China. I don't think this really counts the McMahon Helmsley era kind of thing. So I guess in a way, yeah, no, to be honest, I think the NWO would defeat D-Generation X in a War Games match. So, definitely, in that case, they got it right. The Hardy Boys defeat the Harlem Heat. You know, the Harlem Heat, they fought in the tag team division. Yes, they did. But they were also, I feel like, in more of a bigger, more of a stronger, more physical kind of tag team, kind of tag team division than the Hardy Boys were. And but the Hardy Boys, they were fast, they were agile, high flying, and stuff like that. That was kind of like what they brought to the table. And during the stint with the Dudley Boys and with Edge and Christian, and that sort of aspect, yeah, I get it. I can get why AI would choose them to win. But Stevie Ray and also five-time WCW champion Booker T, losing against Matt Hardy, never really had that much single success. Jeff Hardy, who had single success, but thanks to outside issues, couldn't really maintain any storylines in WWE. So it's for me, this is a coin toss as well. I feel like not a lot of respect was probably given to Booker T because I feel like his success alone could definitely hold all three of these guys as chins up. But I don't know. All in all, I felt I would call this a tie. And lastly, we have Stone Cold Steve Austin 316 defeats Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and I would agree. I would agree. I know a lot of you guys out there, Hulk Hogan guys. It's cool by all means. Thumbs up, good for you. Um, but Stone Cold Steve Austin was just special. he was just, he fit in WWE, the Attitude Era, like one of them round pigs. He was just went during his reign in WWE before he got injured. He was just the face. He was literally why people turned on their television sets. You know how many times I run into a WWE fan or an ex WWE fan. That sounds weird. Uh, when they're like, "Oh yeah, oh, do you watch wrestling? Yeah, I do." Once when Stone Cold was there. Oh, okay, cool. And I go up to another guy. Hey, dude, are you a wrestling fan? No, I used to watch him when that guy who was drinking beer and stuttering people was there. And I was like, oh, okay, it's so cool. I feel like you get more answers of that than people being like, "Oh yeah, Hogan was running all over, he was running wild all over the wrestling." Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not trying to crap on Hulk Hogan because he had, he paid his dues. He's, definitely helped the WWF/WWE become, what it was. He definitely helped with WrestleMania 1 and stuff like that. And he helped with, more of a pop culture kind of icon. And, and in drawing in like outside entertainers to the WWE, and he did movies and stuff like that. But I agree with Stone Cold Steve Austin would totally just kill Hollywood Hulk Hogan, dude, definitely. But then that's obviously that's my opinion. If you guys have something different, obviously hit it up inside that chat box. All right, guys, we're almost done with this show. We're on our fifth and final segment, something we do every Wednesday. I give you guys my Wednesdays weekly wrestling news. I talk about all the major headlines, breaking news stories in the world of professional wrestling. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 25 seconds. So hey, do not go anywhere. All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, the most electrifying wrestling fan in the professional wrestling industry. We talk about all the news, guys. We talk about all the action inside and outside the ring, backstage curtain calls, rumors. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about promotions from WWE. We talk about AEW. TNA, Ring of Honor, you name it. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show, 1,010%. So don't forget to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the GSMC Sports Network. All right, it's kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We talked about our WWE NXT review. Then we talked about some AEW Dynamite. We talked about Eddie Guerrero, the legacy that he left inside the ring after his tragic passing 19 years ago today. And then we talked about artificial intelligence, picks the WCW, WWF/WWE dream matches and kind of provides the outcomes. And I got to be honest, it was a bloodbath. So make sure you guys check out that video on YouTube. All right. So without further ado, let's talk about some Wednesdays weekly wrestling news. All right. First and foremost, definitely got to start off with injury updates in terms of All Elite Wrestling. So like I said before, injuries in terms of wrestling. Um, it affects a lot, like bookings, it could ultimately drive a superstar's push and totally push it out the window. But we have Kenny Omega and Julia Hart right there. They're right there. They're on their road to recovery. They're already training. Cole Carter, he's been out since June with a broken arm. He's set to come back. Sky Blue, it's not really looking too good for her, and no return anytime soon with her, ankle injury, which was gruesome. It was terrible. It was crazy. Willow Nightingale, she's out with a concussion. So I'll give her 2 weeks so she can continue to do what she's doing on the CMLL as the women's champion. So you have all these people coming back. I, for one, I'm excited to see Kenny Omega. What's the storyline going to be like with the John Moxley and the Death Riders or whatever? If Kenny Omega comes back, maybe it'd be a huge shocker if he joins John Moxley. That would be crazy. That would be interesting. And then, of course, that's when, Matthew Nicholas Jackson come back and kind of have to, jump back into the babyface role to take down common enemy that is John Moxley and Kenny Omega. Well, that'd be interesting. But what do I know? What do I know? All right, next we have John Cena confirms that he is set to compete in his last Royal Rumble match. It's been sad. John Cena, time is up. My time is now. My time is over. It's over. Is he going to come back as the Doctor of Thugonomics? Who knows? Word life, Thugonomics. Thugonomics. I'm untouchable. I'm just kidding. No. Moving on. Is there any possibility, and you guys can comment on this in the chat as well. Is there any possibility that he wins? Maybe he wins the 2025 Royal Rumble, becomes the first ever. Well, I don't think he's the first ever. No, is there a 3-time winner? Damn it, I feel like a bad wrestling fan now. I don't think there's ever been a 3-time winner. Unless it was in the past with Hulk Hogan. It doesn't count. I'm just kidding. Moving on. John Cena, he's done so much for WWE. He's done so much. The face of WWE, I guarantee you that WWE wouldn't be as successful as a conglomerate, as a sports entertainment conglomerate now, without the help of John Cena. John Cena, kids loved John Cena. Kids idolized John Cena. You'd see the John Cena shirts. You'd see the purple, the orange, the red, the black, the white. It doesn't matter what color shirt it was, as long as it had hustle, loyalty, respect. As long as it had John Cena on it. It was, he was like what do I say? How do I say it? Well, I don't want to say hero, because although he has granted the most wishes in the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So, with plus 600 and I think it was 30 something. But no, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. He's definitely a role model that you want your kids to kind of look after, not look after, look up to. And John Cena, he stayed out of trouble. He never really had any crazy scandals. He was an ambassador at WWE, and he's been representing the company very, very well. So that also brings up the question, does WWE kind of owe John Cena to have him win and become the 17-time, first ever 17-time, WWE championship holder? That's also in the mix as well. For me personally, by the way the WWE is right now and the title holders that they have, I don't see some craziness happens where he does, find his way back up to the top, where he holds the title for, even a couple of months, kind of like what happened with AEW and Bryan Danielson. Maybe that's the kind of approach they'll do. Or they do a full, 180, and maybe he comes back as a Doctor of Thugonomics, and he's like, he's going to be absolutely ruthless. He's going to be absolutely relentless, trying to achieve that coveted 17-time world title reign, and he's going to make a little bit of enemies along the way. But of course, at the end of it, it's all going to make sense. Kind of like one of those things. A lot of options right now, but I do not want to see this guy's retirement tour of him coming out every single match, either winning or losing, shaking somebody's hand and be like, oh, it was nice to wrestle. You know what I mean? That's boring. For me, I feel like that's boring. That's my opinion, obviously. But I feel like it's boring. I don't want to, I don't want to see stuff like that. I want to see, but his last stint in WWE after this, he's completely out the picture in WWE forever. Obviously, obviously not behind the scenes, but on camera, you have to leave with a bang, dude. You're a Hollywood star. You have to go out with a bang, bro. All right, Malakai Black has been rumored to be leaving AEW. As of right now, there has not really been any, confirmation toward that. He might finish out his contract and decide not to extend it or re-sign in late 2024, early 2025. His confidant, his partner of House of Black, Brody King, was kind of joking around about it, saying that he's going to start a cat farm or something like that, cat circus. But I don't think he's going to go anywhere. At this point, like when he got released by WWE, then he found a home at AEW. You know, he has a lot of respect in the locker room. Obviously, that match with Adam Cole, after they hugged after, and after you've kind of seen House of Black kind of go from a heel faction to like, now they're just kind of there, and people either like him or you don't like him. Buddy Matthews, Malachi Black, and Brody King. I would personally, if he comes back to WWE, he can easily find a home. He can easily find a home. I wouldn't put him on Raw, maybe on SmackDown. We all know that his fiance or his girlfriend, Zelina Vega, is still with WWE. Maybe he finds a way to come back to WWE. Obviously, it's a huge push. Maybe it's completely outside of the picture, but his wrestling matches are still elite. It's nice to see him inside the ring. I love the dark, ominous glow that his character always portrays when he steps inside the squared circle or when he cuts a promo. Like he's still pretty damn good. So, rumors about retirement definitely not there. Him retiring and leaving AEW possibly, with everything going down with WWE. He was definitely one of those superstars too that, NXT was like this golden age, under the Triple H Paul Levesque era. And then once when they got promoted to the Vince McMahon, he got his grubby little paws on it and completely, beaten, battered, and bloodied these guys' push and characters and storylines. He was one of the persons to suffer. And, obviously it was like, am I going to go back to WWE and kind of run into those same problems? Am I going to really get any television time? Because right now in AEW, this guy's always on, he's always featured. They always talk about House of Black, so especially with Julia Hart coming back too. I don't know. It should be interesting. Should be interesting to find out. Next, we have Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa has been rumored of being injured. It's been speculated since he hasn't really spent that much time inside the ring. Even if you paid attention to that WWE Crown Jewel match, it seemed like Roman and Roman, Jay, and Jimmy. It seems like they kind of babied him a little bit. Like it didn't really seem like he was pushing it really to the edge. Hasn't really been in any wrestling spots on Friday Night SmackDown and mostly cutting promos, I feel like. But, obviously the speculations are not true. Solo Sikoa, according to Wrestler Observer newsletter, is completely fine. WWE just doesn't want him to get injured because if he gets injured, that would screw up this storyline immensely. That would be absolutely detrimental to what they're trying to create for Survivor Series, what they're trying to create for the Royal Rumble, they're trying to create for WrestleMania 41. You have to protect this guy. This guy is kind of like your golden baby right now. So, really really no surprise that, they're kind of coddling him a little bit because you ultimately need to. Solo Sikoa, although I'm not a huge fan, and although I feel like, they promoted it a little bit too fast for my blood, but then again, that's not his fault. That's not his fault. It was WWE's an amazing, insane, idea to kind of have this guy look completely weak, didn't really establish himself as a singles wrestler, and then all of a sudden he wants to run his own bloodline. All of a sudden he wants to go up against Cody Rhodes and challenge him for the WWE Undisputed Championship, and of course he fails. So it's not really his fault, but Solo Sikoa right now, definitely like what he's doing on Friday Night SmackDown. Dakota Kai returned on Monday Night Raw, and it was glorious. It was cool. Damage Control is almost back together. Asuka is, she's right there as well, returning to WWE. So it was kind of cool to kind of see her come back, especially after, her ACL injury. I thought we were going to, not see Dakota for quite some time. Before she got injured, when a lot of speculations going around about a women's mid-card title. Definitely someone that comes into mind is Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai, she has that it girl. I love her more now as a babyface as opposed to a heel. It's just better that way. It's better this way. So, it could definitely be the start of a beautiful, wrestling push that she could be having right now. And it seems like it'd be pretty cool. So, definitely good news that Dakota Kai is back. Next, we have it's official that AEW's All In will take place at the Globe Life Field in Texas. PW Insider confirms it. So we're gonna have it all in Texas. I personally, I thought it was kind of like more like a Wembley Stadium thing. I kind of liked it how it was ultimately across seas because of how international All Elite Wrestling has become. With the accumulation of the CMLL, with the accumulation of New Japan Professional Wrestling, with the accumulation of Ring of Honor, I thought you kind of have a lot of wrestlers from different backgrounds. It would have been kind of cool to have it in kind of have it like Tokyo, maybe, have them, kind of go across country. I feel like that's the reason why AEW has been so successful is because their ability to kind of have different international wrestling, independent talents come and wrestle for their promotion. So, definitely, not that I hate it on Texas, not that I'm hating on some good old fashioned, Texas barbecue, the Texas rattlesnake, Austin 316. I'm just kidding now. But Texas is good. Everything's bigger in Texas, so it could work. It would have been pretty cool if they had an AT&T Stadium and in Jerry World. That would have been pretty badass. Bully Ray says that he signed a WWE Legends contract deal, which is cool. I like it. If there's anybody that knows a lot about wrestling and how to do it right, I definitely I'm a huge fan of the Busted Open podcast. So I definitely love myself some Bully Ray right here. Definitely loved how, Devon, came last week on NXT. I definitely loved seeing that nice little nostalgic reunion about putting people through the table. It was great. I grew up watching this guy, one of my favorite tag teams of all time. I remember seeing him in ECW as well. Definitely, he was great. He was great. Every single time he stepped inside the ring, Bubba Ray Dudley gave you 1,010% of all he had. When he went to TNA got better. And when he left ECW to WWE, he got better. So, success follows Bully Ray, and for him to wind up in WWE with the Legends contract, he deserves it. You know what I mean? Whenever he can hit a nice little spot there. All right. Rumors about TNA start. Speedball Mike Bailey after dropping the X Division championship against Moose, which I was not really too fond of. I thought it was kind of stupid. The rumors are not true, guys. There has not been any contact between him and AEW, so you can put those rumors to bed. Speedball Mike Bailey is TNA Impact. Fightful Select indicates that AEW isn't concerned about beating WWE's numbers now that it has its own television deal. And they ultimately want to focus on, making Warner Brothers Discovery happy and not really caring about what WWE is doing anymore. And I feel like that's something that Tony Khan has always, he's always kind of flirted with, Monday Night Wars and stuff like that. But it was just to kind of get a rile, set of people. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't really to kind of be like, oh yeah, we're fighting each other. We want to put the WWE out of business. Dude, you're never, and I repeat, never ever going to be more successful than the WWE. You're never going to put it out, never going to put it out the business. Like I said, kind of having that, the AEW WWE war thing is kind of stupid. During this new age of digital era, everything's streamed. Obviously, All Elite Wrestling doing it with at Max, and it's good. It's good. WWE doing it with Netflix. It's good. Both of them are going to be successful. It's not really, no really comparisons, anything. Like no one's ever going to really realistically match up against the greatest wrestling conglomerate in the whole entire world, in the whole entire history of the world's existence that is WWE. So, definitely putting that to bed when, definitely, although it is kind of interesting to find out when Eric Bischoff opens up his mouth and he's like, AEW is nothing like WCW. I'm just kidding, no. But I just think it's kind of funny. Jonathan Coachman heard from a reliable source, guys, reliable sources, ladies and gentlemen, that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill do not get along behind the scenes of WWE. Do you believe it? Let me know in the comment section. I, for one, I don't believe it. I feel like right now, backstage in WWE, morale is kind of, bigger and greater than it's ever been under the Triple H Paul Levesque era. And, Bianca Belair, although these girls are both very, very competitive, and they're essentially kind of the same person. Like, it's crazy. Both of them are, they're strong, they're agile, they're speed, they're tacticians inside the ring. They can hit a random submission move. They have the resilience, they have the, the momentum changing ability, they have the charisma. Dude, like these, I don't really see how anybody could really like be on, of course, in terms of, working, there's always that one coworker that kind of just like, flipping great. But I just don't see it with these two girls. Usually you can see it, inside the ring where two people really don't like each other. Although, there's been some cases where, some people who actually don't like each other actually put on who put on better matchups and stuff like that. Or, when they make movies, their chemistry on camera actually seems a lot better. But I don't believe it. I don't know who Coachman's reliable, quote unquote, reliable sources are. But I don't know. I just don't believe it. Maybe it's the fact that like maybe I might be too attached to this Jade and Bianca like tag team. At first, I got to be honest, I didn't like it. I hated it, but I've kind of warmed up to it. I kind of like the way that these girls are, supporting each other. I love how they're putting the WWE Women's World Tag Team titles on the map, and I'm all for it. So if you can't beat them, join them. All right, guys. So, hey, that was my show. Hope you guys had a great time listening to it. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I've been here to bid you farewell. Just remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter /X, however you like to call it, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. And like I always say, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we have a football podcast. We got the GSMC football podcast with my man Kenneth, the GSMC Chip Shot football podcast with my boy Manny, talking football all the time. Find out all the hottest news in the NFL. Watching those two podcasts, of course. In terms of talking the NFL, talk about fantasy football. Join Chris Shepard's GSMC Fantasy Sports podcast to make your fantasy team a WWE champion. Find out your stardoms, find out your situms, find out who to pick up off the waiver wire to make sure you guarantee success inside your fantasy league. Nobody wants to be that loser. Nobody wants to pay the punishment where you end up walking out in a woman's dress in public. So, make sure you avoid that. Saturdays are made for college football, college game day. Who has the hottest news in college football? Who finds out the last minute injury updates? Find out the juiciest power rankings with my boy Tommy with the GSMC College Football Podcast. We also have All Around Sports with Nelson with GSMC Sports Podcast. We also have Jeremy with Sports by GSMC. So make sure you guys, check out all those amazing podcasts. Stay tuned for Emran's podcast starting in about 1 minute. So I got to log off here. His Dead Ball podcast is a must watch. I'm a huge fan. Can't wait to watch it with all y'all. Have a beautiful Wednesday night. Have a beautiful Thursday. Enjoy Ring of Honor and TNA. Hopefully you'll stop by my podcast first so we can have a nice little preview, talk about it. Stay beautiful, but most importantly, as always, love you.
Mm-hmm. 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 Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't